The Rosewood Estates Homeowners Association believed they could erase a war hero, silence him, kidnap him, and finally seize his home by force. But they underestimated one man. For years, Evelyn Rhodes and her corrupt board ran the neighborhood like it was their personal empire. Fraud, intimidation, and systematic destruction of anyone who dared to defy them had become their weapons of choice. But they made one critical mistake. They underestimated Nathaniel Briggs. He wasn't just some cantankerous old man clinging to his property out of stubborn pride. Nathaniel was a former counterintelligence officer who had spent his life dismantling threats far more dangerous than a suburban HOA. And he wasn't alone. When the truth about Rosewood Estates exploded, it took down an entire criminal enterprise no one even knew existed. But it all started the day Nathaniel disappeared. Chapter 1. The Empty House. Eli Briggs pulled his pickup truck into his grandfather's driveway, the tires crunching over loose gravel that had lain undisturbed for decades. The house stood as it always had, a single-story relic of another era, its weathered brick exterior holding firm against time. The porch swing creaked gently in the breeze. It was familiar, comforting, but something was wrong. The screen door hung ajar, its rusted hinges whining softly as it rocked. Ili pronet. Nathaniel Briggs was meticulous, disciplined. He didn't leave things open. Ever. The front door was worse. It gaped wide, an empty black rectangle. An invitation, or a warning. Eli's pulse quickened as he killed the engine. The familiar rumble of his grandfather's old Ford F-150 was absent. No tools left out from his endless projects. No radio playing classic blues through tinny speakers. Nathaniel never left the house without his cane, and that cane now lay abandoned on the steps leading up to the porch. Eli's boots thudded against the ground as he crossed the yard in long strides. He picked up the cane, his throat tight. It was a sturdy piece of oak, worn from years of use. His grandfather needed it to walk. There was no way he had left it willingly. Inside, the house was too quiet. Eli crossed the threshold, his boots creaking over the old planks. The faint scent of gun oil and old coffee hung in the air, a signature Nathaniel had carried with him since his military days, but something else lingered beneath it. A wrongness Eli couldn't name. The living room was untouched. The same recliner, Nathaniel's medals on the wall, the folded American flag sitting proud above the fireplace. But on the kitchen table was an envelope. The HOA's logo was emblazoned on the corner like a brand. Eli's gut twisted. His grandfather had fought those people for years. Fought their fines, their threats, their relentless campaigns to strip him of his home because it didn't fit their sterile, uniform vision of Rosewood Estates. He tore the envelope open. Legal jargon, violations, citations, and at the bottom, a handwritten line. This is your final warning. Eli's hands clenched around the paper, crumpling it as a slow burn ignited in his chest. They had taken him. He didn't know how. He didn't know where. But he knew who. And they had made a mistake. Chapter 2. Into the Lion's Den. Eli didn't walk into the HOA office. He stormed in, the glass door slamming against the wall. The sterile lobby reeked of money and power, from the sleek white furniture to the carefully placed art prints on the walls. The receptionist, her name tag read Denise, barely glanced up from her screen. "Do you have an appointment?" she asked, her voice flat. "Where is he?" Eli's voice was low, dangerous. Denise blinked, finally taking in the fury radiating off him. "I'm sorry. Who are you looking for?" "My grandfather, Nathaniel Briggs. He's missing. And this," Eli slammed the crumpled letter onto her desk, "is the only thing he left behind." There was a flicker, a hesitation in her eyes before she pressed the intercom. "MS. Rhodes? You have a visitor." A long hallway stretched toward an office with a door carved from dark wood. Moments later, Evelyn Rhodes emerged. Early 50s, perfect blonde bob, designer suit. She looked more CEO than HOA president, and Eli knew better than to think that was an accident. "Mr. Briggs," she greeted with a chilly smile. "To what do we owe the pleasure?" Eli was on her in 2 strides. "Where's my grandfather?" She tilted her head, feigning concern. Nathaniel? Is he missing? Oh, that's awful. Cut the act, Eli snarled. You've been trying to get him out of that house for years. Now he's gone, and this, he pointed at the letter, was left behind. Evelyn sighed, like she was dealing with a difficult child. People leave all the time, Mr. Briggs. Maybe he didn't want to fight anymore. Maybe he checked himself into a retirement home. Eli slammed his fist on her desk hard enough to rattle the frames. He wouldn't leave his cane behind. He wouldn't leave his door wide open. For the first time, her mask cracked. Barely. She flicked a glance toward Denise. Eli saw it. The smallest twitch of nerves. Tell me where he is, Eli demanded. I'm afraid I can't help you, Evelyn replied smoothly. Perhaps you should call the police. I did. They're worthless. Ili. But I'm not. She smiled tightly. Be careful with your accusations. He turned on his heel and stormed out. But not before he saw Evelyn exchange a glance with Denise. Confirmation. They were hiding something. Chapter 3, The Call. Eli sat in his truck, gripping the steering wheel. His breath came in sharp, controlled inhales. He needed a plan. The cops wouldn't help. Lawyers would take too long. And then he remembered. If anything ever happens to me, Nathaniel had once told him, don't waste time. Call this number. Eli had laughed it off back then. Paranoid, old vet stuff. But Nathaniel had been dead serious, scribbling the number in the back of his battered leather notebook. No name, just digits. Now Eli dug the notebook out of the glove box. The number was faded, but legible. His thumb hovered over the call button. This is insane, he muttered. But the memory of the cane, the letter, and Evelyn's smirk pushed him forward. The phone rang once. Twice. 3 times. This is Agent Lucas. Eli's throat went dry. No hello. No questions. I was told to call this number if something happened to Nathaniel Briggs. Silence. Then what happened? He's gone, Eli said. House left wide open. His cane was outside. Only thing left was a letter from the HOA. Where are you? In my truck. Outside their office. Stay there. Don't move. Don't talk to anyone. Elias dulce recit. Who are you? 15 minutes. And then the line went dead. Eli barely had time to process it before 3 black SUVs tore down the street. They skidded to a halt in front of the HOA building. Doors flew open. Men in suits, armed and efficient, moved with military precision. And for the first time since Nathaniel disappeared, Eli realized he might not be ready for what came next. Chapter 4, The Fall of Rosewood Estates. Evelyn Rhodes had built her life on control. She was the queen of Rosewood Estates. Untouchable. Feared. Obeyed. But fear had never felt like this. When the office door swung open, the entire room froze. 4 men in tailored suits stepped inside. No badges, but she knew what they were. Federal. The lead agent, a tall, broad man with cold blue eyes, pulled out a document and held it up. A search warrant. No warning. No time to stall. Where's Nathaniel Briggs? Agent Lucas asked. Evelyn tried to lie. She was good at it. But their eyes said they already knew. We don't just know about Nathaniel, Lucas said, voice cold. We know about the fraudulent citations, the bribes, the land grabs. He dropped a folder on her desk. Photos, documents, emails, and at the bottom, a photo of Nathaniel bound and bruised. Where is he? Lucas repeated. Evelyn's mouth was dry. She didn't answer. Lucas turned to one of his men. Team Bravo, move on the target. Chapter 5, The Rescue. The basement stank of mildew and fear. Nathaniel sat tied to a chair, bruised but grinning. Took you long enough, he said as Eli and Agent Lucas stormed in. Nathaniel was cut free. He stretched with a wince, then reached into his boot and pulled out a USB drive. That's every crime they committed in the last 15 years, he said. Ili started. Ow! They thought I was just a stubborn old vet, Nathaniel said. Didn't know I spent 20 years in counterintelligence. You let them take you, Eli realized. Nathaniel shrugged. Had to lead them to the top. Lucas pocketed the drive. Let's end this. Chapter 6, Justice. The arrest began at dawn. FBI agents swept through Rosewood Estates, taking board members from their beds, offices, even mid-swing at the golf course. Assets frozen. Deals canceled. The HOA's empire crumbled in hours. By noon, it was all over the news. FBI raids, HOA in massive corruption case. Suburban extortion ring exposed. Millions in fraud uncovered. And Evelyn Rhodes, the untouchable queen, was in handcuffs on the steps of the HOA office, reporters shouting questions she couldn't answer. Nathaniel Briggs watched from his porch, relaxed, smiling. Chapter 7, Legacy. With Nathaniel's evidence, the Carter house was declared a historic landmark. Untouchable. Permanent. Eli sat beside his grandfather on the porch swing, watching the neighborhood come alive again. People waved, smiled, thanked them. You fought a lot of battles, Eli said. Nathaniel chuckled. Taking down an HOA might have been the easiest one. As cameras flashed and reporters clamored, Nathaniel leaned close to his grandson. They thought they could take me down, he said. Turns out, I was the one taking them down all along. And the legend of Nathaniel Briggs, the man who couldn't be erased, was just beginning.